better part of the last decade, I had been lying to myself. I pretended to be a content creator. I pretended to be an entrepreneur. I was neither. I was a coward hiding behind a camera, telling myself that I was doing the best I could. I wasted my 20s pursuing a flawed strategy instead of constructing a meaningful life. I spent 7 years in retail, harboring the absurd belief that a minimum wage position at Walmart would eventually lead to a high-paying management role. In reality, that eventual manager job at CVS paid a meager $12.50 an hour. My naivety was astonishing. I have a decade of abandoned channels, failed projects, a graveyard of good ideas that never made a dollar. I am 30 years old. I have a daughter looking up to me, and last week my bank account had negative $12 in it. That is not a funny vlog title. That is a dereliction of my duty as a father. In 2022, I made a significant career change, leaving retail for a higher paying opportunity. My primary motivation was purely financial, and I was surprisingly drawn into physical labor, something I never expected, having always envisioned an office job. I began working for Dish Network and quickly discovered a passion for hands-on work, using tools and creatively solving tangible problems. This fulfillment, however, was short-lived. After about a year, my poor performance in sales, a component of the job I hadn't prepared for, ultimately led to my layoff. The increased income from Dish Network, which eventually grew beyond the initial jump from $12.50 to $24.50 an hour, led to a period of improved quality of life. However, this was coupled with a significant spending habit, poor financial management, and accumulating debt. Consequently, my termination resulted in one of the lowest points of my life, as I was left without savings and was forced into survival mode. Utilizing my newly acquired skills, I borrowed money from my mother, purchased professional tools including a Milwaukee drill set, and began taking on various odd jobs, primarily TV mounting gigs found on Craigslist, while aggressively applying for every blue-collar trade position I could find. A pivotal moment in my life, and the start of a new career direction, arrived after a grueling month. An unexpected phone call. It was for an electrical company seeking a material runner. I was utterly perplexed. Material runner, electrical, I couldn't recall applying for a job like this. I had absolutely no electrical experience and no desire to work in the field. However, my desperate situation quickly overshadowed my confusion. Being honest, I told the caller I needed a reminder about the application, inquired about the job duties, and confirmed I had a car and basic tools, but zero experience. I was, on paper, a terrible fit. Yet, for some inexplicable reason, he asked me to come in for an interview the very next day. What in the world, I thought? I arrived with a clear strategy, to be impeccably honest, yet also emphasize my responsibility, my quick ability to master new skills, and my unwavering dedication to excellence in any role. In retrospect, I'm unsure if that particular approach was the key factor. What truly made a difference was my resume, which detailed my experience as an Uber driver and my expertise in computers and IT. After a lengthy, hour-long interview where we discussed my past experiences and life in general, I was offered a position, not as a material runner, but as a personal assistant to the CEO. I was simultaneously ecstatic and flabbergasted. I accepted immediately, although it meant a starting pay cut to $17 an hour. I was in need of a job, and I recognized this opportunity as one I absolutely had to seize. The following 2 years were packed with enjoyable and stimulating challenges. Initially, I wouldn't have gone near a live electrical wire. For the first 3 months, my tasks were mostly non-electrical, installing dash cams and GPS systems in the company fleet, making spare vehicle keys, and most significantly, digging. I spent nearly 3 months straight digging trenches so deep I couldn't see the original ground level when standing straight up. This grueling routine paved the way for the real growth phase. I began to shadow almost everyone in the company, assisting in any way I could. My cousin, who was already in the company, was my first official shadow, and my learning accelerated exponentially from there. I picked up the trade, including solar work, at an incredible pace. However, after 2 years, the consequences of my past financial mistakes became unavoidable. The debt I had ignored resurfaced dramatically, leading to wage garnishment, coupled with poor money management, and an inability to keep up with bills, and a deepening depression. My work performance declined. When the company had to downsize, I was unfortunately included in the layoffs. Luckily, I had a supportive network of family and friends, along with newly acquired skills. My cousin offered a helping hand, teaching me new trades and providing opportunities to earn money. My father provided advice and support, and my mother, currently venturing into her own business, served as an inspiration. The first turning point came after losing my job in August 2025, right after I turned 30. Immediately, I leveraged my skills for various gigs. However, the next 4 months were a period of repeated attempts and failures with different channels and projects. Everything shifted for the better on New Year's Eve, bringing a renewed sense of hope. I had an idea: document everything. I want to take this seriously and systematically, leveraging my surroundings as a business opportunity. The goal is to learn how to make $1, then $5, then $100, and then $1,000, and fully document this process for a YouTube channel. This channel, tentatively called Project Reset, symbolizes a complete new beginning from zero. My favorite YouTube content revolves around money, business, and finance. However, a constant frustration is that while most channels offer advice, very few genuinely show the complete journey, the grind, the errors, and the failures. Worse, they often only showcase potential earnings instead of revealing how the cash was actually generated. I want this project to change that narrative. Project Reset, which began on January 1st, 2026, has evolved rapidly. After only 20 days, on the cusp of the third week, the true nature of this endeavor became clear. This YouTube channel and business is fundamentally about creating compelling content, but it is equally about the raw necessity of survival, generating income, and making the genuine sacrifices required for success. Effective today, January 21st, 2026, Project Reset is officially rebranded as the Everything Project, a title that reflects the channel's all-encompassing scope. It is the unflinching documentation of a person aggressively fighting from absolute zero to achieve financial stability, utilizing every resource at their disposal. There will be no niche restrictions here. If a task generates income, it will be pursued. Tiling, auto detailing, hauling, gig work, any labor where sweat and can be directly traded for equity will be undertaken. The rules of engagement for this project are straightforward and demanding. Radical transparency. Every week, the bank account is open to scrutiny. You'll see the wins, the losses, and even the embarrassing days when only $15 was earned. No days off. Until financial stability is achieved, there are no breaks. Holidays are a luxury reserved for those who have savings accounts. Skill over hype. The focus is on mastering high-value trades. You will witness the necessary failures on the path. Is not a caution. Success is not about caution. It's about executing every necessary calculated risk to legitimately generating income. The process demands continuous effort, trying, failing, and trying again, while maintaining complete visual documentation of the journey, including all the inevitable, unflattering failures. The motivation is simple. This isn't about acquiring a luxury car. It's about ensuring my daughter never witnesses the stress of a grocery bill again. She deserves a father who is an active builder, not just a perpetual dreamer. My purpose is to lead by example, never giving her a reason to hold back from striving for her best in any endeavor. Ultimately, I want to be a man she deeply respects and admires. Are you weary of the curated perfection? The glossy highlight reels of success that feel utterly unobtainable? Well, pull up a chair and let the pretense melt away. If your soul is currently residing in the gritty, unforgiving trenches of your journey, take a long, deep breath. You belong here. For every crushing setback, every lesson learned in the crucible of a monumental failure, this is your sanctuary. This is where we admit the mistakes that taught us everything. Welcome home. My name is Sergio Espinosa, and the sun has risen on day 21 of what feels like a lifetime. For the very first time, terrifying and exhilarating time. Welcome to the Everything Project. I ask you to subscribe not as a passive observer of my life, but as a vital partner in this brutal, beautiful process. Subscribe to anchor me in this commitment, to hold my feet to the fire when the desire to quit is a siren song. Never walk away. If I betray this trust, I implore you, unsubscribe. If you ever catch a whisper of a lie, if I sugarcoat the agony or the truth, call me out on it. Your accountability is the silent engine that keeps my integrity alive.